Oh, oh.
Light damage on the front.
Ouch, Jesus. What the hell? What the hell? There's another portal? Ash, you are not cool. You steal items. Hate. What the hell? Private Sigma. Bop. There I am. I'm gonna turn on the BGM here in just a second. Because if you couldn't tell, it has an ad playing for some reason. I miss the old one. An ad wouldn't play every fucking time I tried to load it up. There we go. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking. Oh man. I'm a little tired. When am I not? When am I not? I just got off work though. Like, I legit just got off work like maybe an hour ago. But I quickly got home and I took a shower. And now I am here. Taking a shower does not help me. Makes me more tired. But I didn't want to stream after coming over, like immediately coming over from work. I wanted to at least take a minute to take a shower. Okay, that's next. You notice that? Okay. Oh, what the fuck was I gonna do? I was gonna do something and then I immediately forgot. Oh, shit! I want to try this. Okay, they work. My sound alerts on my last stream were not working, so I wanted to double check and make sure that they were working. Good to know that they are. Cool. That is good to know, because like I said, they were not. That Duolingo stream was a complete shit show. I'm glad it didn't end super badly. I had a feeling that once my OBS started flipping shit, I had a feeling that it was just gonna be game over for that day. So I was like, okay, I'll go fuck myself and not, you know, stream Duolingo ever again because of my internet. No, it wasn't even my internet, it was just OBS being dumb. So I think it's because I have not had a good OBS like setup, at least compared to what my internet will allow. I don't even want to say that. Like, my internet's like great. It's supposed to, you know, it's supposed to allow me to, you know, stream for like, I don't know, stream in high quality, I guess. But it never gave me the chance to. I don't even know. I don't really care so much about the quality, but I know a lot of people do care, and it's like, if it's not 1080, then they don't give a shit about about how entertaining the stream is. And I mean, like, fucking hell, a lot of agencies. I'm gonna talk a fuck ton today about VTubing as a whole again, and football again. Because yesterday, I had a lot on my mind. Mainly with the stuff going around with VTubing and stuff like that, just appearing on my timeline as per usual. And football also was another thing that I've been wanting to talk about. I know nobody gives a shit about football, especially when I talk about it, but I also want to talk about it, so yeah. You can't stop me from talking about something I like. But yeah, I'm going to... Speaking of that, my fantasy football thing just decided to go off. Alright. Let me continue what I was saying, though, beforehand. I think I was straining my OBS a little too much, I want to say. And I feel like a lot of the upcoming streams may actually be lowered in quality. Just so the potential for a actual long stream without any internet or OBS problems, that would definitely be great. Because currently I'm streaming, like the quality options I'm able to stream, at least for YouTube. Let me pop up not that, let me actually load up the video and see what I can choose for, yeah, 1080, 60 FPS. Though it doesn't really matter, like I said, but I know a lot of people really care about video quality. And that's gonna be a pain in the ass to deal with. Also, I see you in chat, Dreamer. Nice to see you in chat as well. God, I wish I wasn't so fucking blah right now. I sound incredibly tired, and I am, okay? I fell asleep around this time yesterday, and I woke up at like 4. And I've been up ever since like 4 p.m. yesterday. But I had a nice sleep, so I guess it was worth it, maybe? I don't know. But my big plan tonight is to at least stay up for a little while just so I can get this sleep schedule like consistent again. I don't think today will be a very, very long stream. Maybe I'll go 2 hours. Maybe I'll go an hour and a half. Somewhere in between there. I definitely know I'll go an hour at least. I was going to maybe do some Rocket League later, but I don't think so. One thing I did do, and I did this all after I got done streaming Euro Truck Simulator yesterday. Does my sticky note key move? Yeah, I did that. I made it to where whenever my tie moves up and down, the sticky note does that too. I don't know why, I just like fucking around with items and shit. I'm glad that that's a part of my model where it could just move around. But anyways, I did this after at the location. Oh. Yeah. I do that sometimes. Keep you on your toes. I did this after I got done making, it was on my hat suit. Now it's on, yeah, I move it every once in a while. I mean, it's kind of like becoming a part of me because like I always have it whenever I'm like streaming pretty tired. And since I like to stream when I'm tired, and because it's becoming more and more normalized, I might as well just make this a part of my model, you know? Might as well. Real quick, tangent before I actually say anything about what I was going to say. Fucking hell. So I ran a promotion on my YouTube channel. Okay? Because I actually was like, hey, let me actually see if I can make that work. And I didn't do much with it, okay? Like, pay-wise, you know, I only spent like $2 on it because I didn't really care so much of, like, I just wanted to see if it would actually do anything. Like, if I spent $2, would it do anything? And it kind of did. It almost got me to 100 subscribers because of it. I promoted the now defunct VWF match, where it was the like the separate VOD upload video that I did from the last time I did one, and my internet was like, yeah, fuck you. I was like, okay, I'll record it and upload it, and I did that, and I uploaded it as a separate like little short video, not short video, but short in terms of the stream, and I promoted that video using like the promotions tab on the channel, on YouTube Studio, and I was like, oh, okay, that actually did all right for, you know, little less than $2. But now that I fucking did it, for some reason, Google has decided to suspend my Google Ads account, even though I'm pretty sure I paid for it, and I'm not able to get that back. So yeah, I can no longer, for the most part, do anything with promoting my channel in terms of ads, because I technically have an unpaid balance, although I paid it. And in order for me to get my thing back, like if I wanted to submit an appeal, I have to fill out a form and contact Google because of it. Like, I have to go through this insanely long process if I wanted to do something like that again. I don't really want to do that. TLDR, Google cucked me, essentially. That is essentially what happened. And it's like, I don't feel like going through that process, because it is literally like a very like tedious appeal process. Like, it's not even like an automatic like appeal or whatever. It's like you gotta go through it all. It is annoying. Like, yeah, last payment was that payment, and I used my PayPal account so it would pay for it, and it never did. Like, well, like, okay, it paid for it. Yes, it did pay for it. But for some reason it said that I didn't. And that's why I no longer have a Google Ads account, technically. I don't know. Fuck Google, essentially. So, yeah, was it worth it? Kind of not really, because my fucking... It barely got any attention, let alone enough for me to be all like, yeah, that was worth suspending my fucking account over. It was $2. Google's gonna be pissed off that I didn't pay them $2, which, oh, I did pay them $2? Whatever. Anyways, like I was saying, the only reason why I brought it up is because every time I go onto my YouTube Studio, whenever I look at my videos or my lives or like anything that I've done, whenever I try to look at something in my content page, there's just a very ominous red banner at the very top that says your Google Ads account is suspended. And every time I click dismiss, it comes right back. So it's like, it's very annoying. It is very annoying. And it just does not go away at all. I also am going to start uploading more of the clips and stuff like that onto the channel, probably in November or December. I'm going to take a small break just because I uploaded a lot in the last couple of months, okay? And barely any of the videos have really gotten anywhere. So I'm just going to like lay back and see what's going to happen, see if anything happens over time. I wouldn't be shocked if anything doesn't really happen with the clips, but whatever. Anyways, I was gonna say this. So I streamed Euro Truck Simulator on Tuesday, correct? Was it Tuesday? Apparently. Yeah. I streamed it on Tuesday after the whole debacle with my OBS and stuff like that, which I hope I fixed it. Like I said, I'm probably going to downgrade the quality to 720. Not like it's going to change much at all. Like I said, I doubt it will. But if that helps with my streams consistently staying at a high bit rate / not me disconnecting every fucking other stream, then so be it. I'll deal with that. I mean, it really isn't much different when I clicked 720 and 1080, but then again, I'm tired and I can't really tell the difference. Maybe a little bit, but I know when I was starting with my agency and stuff like that, they were not really happy with me being in 720, so they kind of made me want to force my hand, I guess, at doing 1080p streams, and yeah, that didn't change much at all, did it? With Twitch, it kind of forces 720, kind of. Not really. You can do 1080, but it forces more 720, and the quality still sucks regardless. But, you know, Twitch. You know, could be worse. It could be Twitter. But anyways, when I did the Euro Truck Simulator stream, I mentioned how I was really thinking about doing it again in VR, but I wasn't able to because, like, if for the long time viewers of my channel or of myself, I did American Truck Simulator about a year ago, maybe a little bit. I did a couple streams, and I tried to do it all in VR because I love experiencing that game in VR. Yeah, this was back, I think the last part was in January, I believe. Yeah. I did a few parts of ATS in VR. The problem was that it was not good. It was not good whatsoever. The frame rate of the game was terrible, both in the game for me and on stream. So that pretty much took me out of that game because I was having a not so good time with it in VR. The same could almost be said about Skyrim, but Skyrim actually runs perfectly fine on my end, so I kind of don't pay attention to it that often. I noticed it every once in a while when I'm looking back at those Skyrim VODs that it does have a tendency to lag frame rate wise, but that's on OBS's end and not on my end, so I don't notice it myself. So that's that. I said that I really didn't want to, you know, play Euro Truck Simulator without being in VR. But I wasn't able to stream it. If I wanted to play the game, I had to stream it in a way that wouldn't, I guess, like, lag my entire system. Like, you know, for example, not VR. So, I streamed in VR. But I decided to mess around a little bit, and I wanted to see if I could figure out if maybe I was just over dramatic. So I set up the game in VR. I set up both Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator in VR. And here's the conclusions that I've come up with. Okay? Because here's an interesting thing. So, my VR headset, which is the Oculus Rift, Rift S, I believe. I don't even remember. It's a Rift. I got it like several years ago, back when they were in circulation. You can't buy them anymore. But so when I bought it, obviously with it being an Oculus, it runs on Oculus. So there's that. When I was doing American Truck Simulator in VR, I was running the game through Steam VR, and that's what was causing all the lag and all the problems. So, essentially the way you set up the game is you're supposed to like put in this little like text to code in your like general properties tab, where it's like, you know, it's like a -sign Oculus or OpenVR or whatever. So whenever it opens up in either Oculus or Steam VR. I had it open up in Steam VR thinking, well, you know, how else am I gonna play it? I didn't realize how much of a difference playing the game in Steam VR and Oculus, how much of a difference that brings. Because I made it, so I switched it over to Oculus so that way it would play through my Oculus headset and not open Steam VR. And I did all kinds of different testing. And it's very smooth. Even on, you know, medium graphics. Not really high-end graphics. Like, that'll probably lag it a little bit. But if I've set it to, like, medium, like, graphics, which is still, you know, fine in my eyes, and all that, it is still, like, it works just fine. Now, I also had some issues where okay, so the way that I have to capture it is I have to capture my Oculus mirror, and I can't stream the game. It's kind of similar to, Skyrim, where I can't stream the game. I have to stream the mirror of my VR, which means I have to open up another fucking program on this computer. Great. But I'm gonna change that. I might be able to like switch it over to Oculus. I don't fucking know. But that means that I have to open up the Oculus mirror in order for me to stream the game and make it look halfway decent, because if I load up the game and try to capture the game, you're going to see the game split in half twice. So you're going to see it because of my left eye and my right eye, and you're going to see the same stuff twice. I'm not all about that life, so I just figured out that you could just stream it using the Oculus mirror and good to go. So when I stream it again, you'll basically see my entire OBS setup, because you're going to see literally everything I see from my Oculus mirror. Even if that means I might accidentally dox myself. I doubt it. I doubt it. That's more of a joke, but fucking the one issue that I came across was the Oculus mirror does not like to be unfocused. Or at least I think I found a fix to it. I fucking hope I'm not jinxing myself when I say this. So I tested it out many times and it works just fine. But there was just those handful of times when I had my OBS open, where if I unfocused the Oculus mirror window, the game would be a fucking PowerPoint slideshow. For no reason. Not the game, but the capture. So like, again, same situation with Skyrim. The game would run 60 frames per second, smooth as fucking ice. I guess ice can be smooth. Smooth as ice, I'm gonna say, okay? But in the recording software, every once in a while, it wouldn't be that way. So, I don't know. I think I found a fix to it. There really didn't seem like there was a fix to it from when I was doing all this fucking Googling and researching and all that sort of stuff. Like, nobody really seemed to know why it was having that issue. Like, I was looking this problem up and it's like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, the Oculus, like, even, like, Jesus So I look up this issue, okay? The Oculus mirror, like, lags when, like, trying to record something or something like that. And Oculus themselves was like, oh, we don't have a fix for that. That's a problem with Windows 11. What the fuck? Okay. So, and then I read on a forum that it was having to do something with, like, GPU acceleration or something stupid in my Windows settings that I had to fix. And I turned it off and restarted my computer, and apparently ever since then it's worked. I don't fucking know. I genuinely have no clue. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I'm going to stream Euro Truck Simulator sometime in the near future, maybe sometime this week. I'm going to attempt it in VR, and if it does not fucking work, I'll go right back to doing what I was doing before, which was just, you know, not in VR, because, like, I love playing the game in VR, and I found a way to make it very smooth for me, but if I'm not going to be able to stream it because of stupid Meta and their terrible Oculus mirror bullshit, then I'm just going to not deal with it. Like, I'll just play the game on my off time in VR, enjoying it like I want to on stream. But I don't know, I really enjoy the vibes that Truck Simulator can give off. It's a lot different than what I usually do, but I don't know, that's just something that I like. I just like, especially because it's Europe, and I have no idea what, like, Europe really is other than Munich and Germany, because, like, I've never been to Europe. Like, when it comes to American Truck Simulator, I kind of get bored with it. Like, that's kind of how I felt when I streamed American Truck Simulator. It's because I live in America. I don't know the whole, like, Pacific side of the country, but it's definitely not a great fucking place. I don't fucking like it, you know? When it comes to Europe, it's like, oh, this is kind of new. I kind of like this, you know? When I was driving through, like, Cardiff and stuff like that, I was like, oh, fuck, this looks kind of cool. This place is kind of neat. You know, driving on the M5 or the M6, the interstates, it's like, oh, this is, like, you know, different. It's nice. So it's like, I like driving a Euro Truck Simulator more than American Truck Simulator. I feel like I'm not the only one that shares that sentiment. I feel like, you know, a lot of other, maybe it's like the other way around for the European side of the things. I could be wrong. I don't know. I enjoy the concept of Euro Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator, and I'll always enjoy them for, like, their very relaxing vibes and stuff like that. The shenanigans in the games, too, is funny, too. Especially because it's not a game where it's supposed to be common. Like, so when the shenanigans happen, they are like, oh, shit, that's something. Like, a person pulled over on the side of the road, or, like, I had this happen multiple times while testing. Just, you know, people would try to pass people on a one-way street, and it would just not work. And they were having, like, so much troubles, and I just find that funny. I found it funny, and, you know, if I could experience that on stream, that would be even funnier. Okay, I don't know. I enjoy Euro Truck Simulator. If I could stream it in VR, I will. I'm not going to try and force my I'm not going to try and force my computer to do something stupid, but I'm just going to, like, yeah, I'm going to, like, go at it with, like, very timid, like, I feel like I'm going to have to not do anything on stream. Like, if I'm streaming the game, I have to specifically and only stream that. If I need to do something else or look up something or, like, open up another window, don't even do it. But again, maybe I'll do some more testing before I play it again on stream and see if I can actually confirm that it'll actually, like, run without problems. I don't know, because I had a lot of fucking problems at first. And then, like, as soon as I fixed them, I was like, cool, did I fix them? I don't know. I'm too tired of, you know, like, because I was testing and I was doing all this. Like, I think I spent, like, another 2 hours playing Euro Truck Simulator after I got done streaming it, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and see if I can, you know, actually play this in VR, because I knew that I said I couldn't, but was that actually true? Could I actually deal with it, like, off stream at the very least? Then it turns out that I set it up wrong. I set it up horrifically wrong. Like, I'm glad that people are actually using that sound alert. But yeah. So I had fun with that, to say the least. Well, I need to play Pikmin on stream one of these days. I have a lot of games I still need to get to, though. There's a few games that I might actually get back into doing. For example, I'm gonna add that to the list just because I did a series a long ass time ago for a very classic obscure game that nobody knows except me. But I used to do a series on a game called Dirt to Daytona, where I would literally play the career mode, which is it's a racing game. And I played the career mode and I set the race lengths to the longest they could be and try to like race it and stuff like that. It was a neat idea, but I might do it again, but not race as long, because it's a fucking long game to begin with. And then it's like, oh, let's make the races as long as they can make it. What the fuck was wrong with me? I'll make them like long, but not super duper long, because I don't want to fucking torture myself going through that whole thing again. Another reason why I want to play that game again is because I'm kind of getting into the phase of gaming where I want to see if there's like any like special like retextures, or like, I don't want to say like, okay, so like visual upgrades in terms of like turning something into like, you know, 4K. I don't really care so much about that. I mean, like, I like those kinds of changes in like, I'm trying to think of like examples, like ROM hacks. I don't think that's the right term, but like, I've seen a lot of like what Joel and Vinny Vinesauce, those two from Vinesauce, I've seen what those two have done. Probably weren't expecting it to be. I was expecting some of it to be long. But a typical like race, like one race, would take me about an hour to complete. It was going to get to a point where one race was going to take me at least 3 hours once I got near the end. And I knew that I was going to be torturing myself. So I kind of stopped. And it also just I never really like had any success with that series, because I had to restart like twice because of my stupid save files and stuff like that. But the reason, like I said, the reason why I want to get back into it again and restart for technically a third time, is because, so like, there was a like a whole retexture mod, I guess you'll say, where they took the textures from the game and they've upgraded them and shit. Like, they upgraded and they changed some textures and cars and stuff like that to be more like high resolution and actual like good looking cars. So like, it's a whole new experience essentially. Like they pretty much modernized the game, even though it came out in like 2002. So I kind of want to get back into that, but I also am like, yeah, that's also like a fuck ton of other games. There's a fuck ton of other games I still need to play. Like, oh, think about this. I have not played San Andreas since, I don't know, when was the last time I played San Andreas? Fucking a whole month. I haven't touched San Andreas in a whole month because I've been busy doing a lot of different things. A lot of different things. We'll keep it short there. But yeah, there's that I wanted to. I want to get back into San Andreas and continue playing that game because it's a fun game to play. I enjoy San Andreas. It's I don't know how far I am into the game. I don't want to say I'm halfway through, but I feel like I gotta be nearing the end at some point. Okay? Like, I feel like I gotta be, like, really close. Like, if I spent, like, about 10 hours into the game. I don't think I spent, like, 10 hours, but I definitely spent, like, it was 2.5. 2.5, so that would be 5. 7.5. Part 1 or part 2? Okay. 1.5. So yeah, about 10 hours. I'd say I spent about, like, close to 10 hours of that in the game, so I have to be, like, close to the end, right? Like, gotta be. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else. Like I said, there's a ton of fucking games I still need to play. I haven't played Apex in a hot while. Cooking Simulator, another one of those games where I haven't played in a while. I'd like to play GeoGuessr, but they fucked up GeoGuessr to the point where I really don't want to play it until they fix it. And I don't feel like they're going to fix it because, like, yeah, you can play single player, but you know what I like playing? I liked playing Map Runner. But they fucked up Map Runner. It's like you sit here and you collect all these different kinds of all these different countries. And you're only like you're very much limited. You're spoiled that you're only going to be shown like 5 or 6 different regions. So it's easy to play. It's like, that's not fun. It's not fun at all. Why should I? Yeah, it's still like it. It's even worse now because you can still see what it is. It's like, why? It's so dumb. GeoGuessr is so fucking dumb now. It used to be difficult. It used to actually be, like, somewhat difficult. Now it's like, fucking... I want to see if there's anything on the forums. That's so dumb. Like, I get the whole concept, and the concept's a neat concept. But, like, it's no longer a challenge. That's the main problem. Like, the concept is perfect, okay? When you are a low level, you don't have that many, like, regions. So you can quickly get the grasp of, you know, the game and how it works. And then as it gets, you know, farther and farther in, it gets harder and harder in. So you sit there and you unlock all these regions and you have to, you know, pick and choose which ones you would like. Do you rather, you know, have an easy time picking out the place and stuff? It's like, it's a good concept, but then it limits it and spoils you like the 5 to, you know, regions, and it's like, god damn it. Again, it has such potential. It really does. It had a lot of potential. Oh well. The other, at least GeoGuessr still is kind of fun, but yeah, Map Runner was, you know, kind of the reason why I continued playing it to begin with. And then all that happened. What's another game? Oh, I would pop back on iRacing, but I look at some of the stuff, like I look at the schedule of what series are going to where, like what cars are going to which tracks, and there's just nothing interesting at all. There's nothing. Like this week, nothing screams, you know, nothing screams to me. Everything is just kind of bleh. And it just wouldn't be fun. Next week is kind of the same deal. I probably won't do anything on stream. I might do some stuff off stream, but probably nothing on stream because there's nothing fucking good. I mean, it's better than this week, I will say, so maybe I might stream it sometime next week. The week of the 16th of October. What the fuck is going on, computer? Stop it. The week of the 16th of October, nothing for the most part. I'm actually looking through right now and seeing if anything good is. So unfortunately, like, it is good. It is very hit and miss for me. Let's see, the week of the 23rd. A lot of short track racing. Lots of short track racing. Alright, what about November? The 1st of November. Nothing. It's like, yeah, I have to wait like almost an entire month to do anything fun. 23rd's your birthday? Hell yeah. The fucking 15th's my birthday and I have that day off. Let's go. There's nothing. Start of November. So yeah, iRacing's very hit and miss for me. Like one week I'll do it, another week I probably won't. It very much depends on what the schedule has me doing for like series, and a lot of times it's not fun. A lot of times it's not anything special. I could do stuff for like AI racing and stuff like that, but I don't know. Usually whenever I do iRacing, I like to do the AI on the side and be all like, yeah. I do have that one project that I was making and stuff like that. That's about to be ready to be like actually worked on. Shit. There's still some stuff I gotta work on though. It ain't much, but I also want to like wait to start it because I don't want to start it right now. Mainly because of football. That's really it. Reason why I haven't really started it is because I've been like really wanting to only do it on Sundays. Like, it's going to be a Sunday project. But with football being a thing that's taking up all of my Sundays for the next couple of months, that's really got to be like a commitment for like Sunday mornings for me, and I don't even know if I really want to do that, you know? I don't really know. I don't know if I really want to commit at this moment. If it was last year, I probably would say fuck it, because last year I had no faith in my team, and I was like, I don't care. I'll sleep through a loss. That's fine by me. But this year I kind of have a little bit more optimism and a lot more hope for this fucking team. And yeah, whenever they play, I'd like to watch them. More than likely, I will probably start it by like the middle of November. I don't really know yet. Probably the middle of next month. I'd have to like look. Speaking of football, the more I think about it, the more I really wanted to stream some reactions to it again. I really want to stream some of my reactions to football again. I did it once, and then I didn't do it again because I really just like to enjoy it myself and just like watch it on my own time. I don't even really watch it with anybody. I just watch it with myself mostly because I enjoy just kind of like being just tranced and invested in it. You know, because I'm like so much of a football fan that I'm just like, I don't really do anything other than just like, you know, just watch it and enjoy it. I don't really go in like so much detail with like analyzation and stuff. I know I have a lot of fucking friends. Like I will sometimes like watch it with a couple of my buddies, and they're just like, oh, this defense is running a 4-3 defense. Here comes the safety with the blitz, and it's like, holy fuck, how do you bastards know all this stuff? Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, the offense is running this formation, but like, I don't really like, I can't really like sit here and like, especially with how quick it is. It's like you have like, especially with the camera angles that they show, it's like, oh, you got like 15 seconds to like quickly know what the defense is doing, if that. And it's like, okay, that's not enough time for me to like know what everybody's doing. I barely know fucking offense is going, what the offense is doing, let alone, you know, anything else. So it's like, I don't know. I don't sit there and I analyze everything. I couldn't be a fucking quarterback, I'll tell you that much, because I'd have to read the defense. I don't know how to read that. So like, again, you know, I'm not that kind of viewer. Like, I'm literally the kind of viewer that just like sits there and is just kind of like is mesmerized by what's going on. Like, yeah. But again, football and VTubing don't mix well together at all. What the fuck? There we go. Okay. Got a fucking notification about my fantasy football thing again. Speaking of my fantasy football. Like, yeah, every time I talk about football, I know it's just something that nobody fucking cares about for the most part. And it just feels like it's a topic that I tend to... It's kind of like the kind of passion that it's like, I would love to talk about it, but I feel like it's a passion that I just shouldn't show on stream. Just simply because not a lot of people share it. And I know that whenever I just go on and on about football, I pretty much lose any attention I had. But I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man, I fucking love football so much. Like, I'm sitting here on Sundays and I'm like, dude, this is gonna be awesome when I talk about this on stream. And then I get to the point where I'm like talking about it on stream and it's like, oh, well, I mean, it happened. And here are my predictions. I have my predictions, but I don't really want to talk much about it because not a lot of people care about it. If some of the people from the VTuber fantasy football thing, which I'm more surprised has 10 fucking VTubers in it to begin with, I would definitely talk a lot about it if some of them, if you know, were in here talking about it, because like fucking hell, like, you know, I like being in fantasy football leagues because it makes me want to pay attention just a tad bit more, especially with all like VTubers involved. That also helps out a lot too. I know because it's Robin's the one that made it, and Star, why are you awake so early? You're usually streaming till like midnight, good lord. But also, hello to you. Hello. I hope you had a good night. But anyways, yeah, for me, I don't necessarily like pay too much attention to fantasy football in a way. Unless like with this year was a bit different with being in one filled with other VTubers. So it's 3 a.m. here. I agree. What is sleep? What is sleep? But yeah, I don't usually pay attention to like fantasy football all that much. But then it was a bit different this year because I had like 9 other VTubers involved in it too. So I kind of just like went for it again, and to say the least, I kind of know a little bit of thing or two about football because I'm like one of 3 undefeated teams right now in the fantasy league, and that's right, and it's about to be 2, maybe. So, there's 3 undefeated teams in the fantasy league right now. It's me and 2 other VTubers. The 2 other VTubers are facing off against each other this week. Oh boy. So if they stay, so one of them's going to stay undefeated, which brings it down to 2. If I win this week's game, then, if I win this week's game, I stay undefeated. Then in the next week's game, I face one of the 2 undefeated teams. Now, I don't know if we're going to be the 2 undefeated teams battling to be the only undefeated team left. My money says yes, but also probably not. It's a 50-50 chance if I do win this week's game, which might happen. I've gotten really close to losing sometimes this season. I've gotten lucky with a few of my wins, to be honest. I've made a few fucking stupid ass mistakes here, so yeah. To say the least, since I'm one of 3 undefeated teams, I think I know a thing or two about picking players in a fantasy football league. For the most part, I've had to make a few slight changes, but that was pretty much bound to happen regardless. But I've enjoyed football a lot more this season than last season. Mainly because my team actually has some fucking hope for once. I hope that it stays that way for the rest of the season, because, yeah, last season sucked for me as a fan of the Colts. I had this discussion with some of my friends a couple nights ago about going to one of their games, because I've never been to a football game because the fucking... Like, I could go to the stadium that's near me and stuff like that, but I think the nearest NFL stadium's still like 3 to 4 hours away from me. Okay? It's a long drive, and I don't really feel like going out that far. So it might be something that ends up happening like in a few times, like I don't want to say a few years, might be next year. I don't want to do it this year because I don't have the money for it. Imagine being a Lions fan those last few years. Dude, I've met, actually my mom's, when my mom married a Lions fan for like a 30-year Lions fan. Let me tell you, they have been through nothing but fucking misery. I don't know which fan base would be, or not fan base. Yeah, I don't know which fan base had it worse. The Lions fan base or the Browns fan base. Either way. Definitely not the greatest. I mean, at least the Lions are actually being at least a bit more hopeful right now. The Lions are probably going to make it to the playoffs regardless because their fucking division is trash. Their fucking division is straight up trash. Okay? Like, hold on, what's their division? Who are the other three teams? Okay. So, the Lions are in a division with the Green Bay Packers who have no fucking hope with their new quarterback. The way that he's playing the last few weeks, they ain't making it to the playoffs. Then you got the Minnesota Vikings. Dude, the Minnesota Vikings, maybe like the best offense in the entire league, or at least on the NFC side of things, but they also suck. I don't know how you can have such okay, hold on. Let me look this fucking shit up. How come this Lions offense can be top 10 in the league and still be 1-3? How can you lose 3 games in 4 weeks? How can you be so bad? They are 1-3 right now. Hey, Fluff. Good to see you in chat as well. Okay, so Detroit Lions, they're 3-1. They're, sitting good right now. They're sitting good. Okay, Green Bay Packers, they're 2-2. They don't have a good chance. Okay, Jordan Love is not good. He is not good as a QB. He is not playoff worthy. He's not playoff worthy whatsoever, in my opinion. I like to be wrong because he's actually like a hell of a good guy off the field. And, I don't see him as like a leader. But again, when you sit behind Aaron Rodgers for like several years, what do you expect? What the hell do you expect? You're not... okay. This is his first full season being like a starter. It's basically his rookie season. Basically. They ain't going anywhere, especially with very little weapons on both sides. Minnesota Vikings, you sit 1-3. I don't give a fuck if you have Kirk Cousins and you have Justin Jefferson and a bunch of talented people. You're 1-3. You lost to the Buccaneers. You lost to the Chargers. Those two teams should easily be like W's for what that team is. But hey, it could be worse. You could be the absolute laughingstock of the NFL, which is the Chicago Bears. That team's in disarray. That team is in complete disarray. I cannot... I can't just sit here and express how terrible this team is. Because, I would be sitting here for another hour with how terrible the Chicago Bears are this year. Okay. Let me try to explain this here. Stay with me here if you can please, because this might take a minute. Okay. Last season, the Chicago Bears were terrible. So terrible, they get the first overall pick in the draft. Which, for those unfamiliar with the draft, the worst team from the last season gets the first pick unless they trade it away or do other sorts of crazy stuff because you can trade picks and move up in the draft, what the term is called. Worst team goes first, best team goes last in a snake draft. So first round is that way. Second round, it's flipped, where the best team gets to pick again. The worst team has to wait a long time to pick, okay? That's how the NFL draft works, okay? But you can also trade your picks, and you can also, pick earlier than expected, It's a big those trades are big, okay? For, like, setting up for, building teams and stuff like that. So, the Chicago Bears last season were terrible. They were worse than what my team was, albeit not by much, okay? They get the first overall pick. Except they don't. They traded away to the Carolina Panthers, who used that pick on Bryce Young, who was an Alabama quarterback. Great fucking player, except, that team's also 0-4. So, I'll talk about that here in a second, because that's going to get me on that tangent. But anyways, Chicago Bears, they fuck up their draft. Like, they don't get any weapons at all. Maybe DJ Moore from Carolina, but he's an alright, wide receiver. But, Justin Fields is not a good QB. I'm sorry to say that, but he's not good. And then, okay, so that's not the worst part. Okay, the worst part is Chicago fans. They are the fucking worst. The entire offseason, it was nothing but Chicago's going to the Super Bowl. Justin Fields is winning MVP this season. Justin Fields is him. He's going to make this team be the top 5 team of all time. The Chicago Bears' fan base was just nothing but doing nothing but hyping this guy up, hyping up this entire team. And what do? Essentially what they do, they go into week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. Storybook rivalry, top 1 rivalry of all time in the NFL. Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers. If anybody knows anything about NFL and rivalries, top of the list right there. Easily. Green Bay has owned Chicago the last 20 years, okay? Easily. Ever since Aaron Rodgers stepped into the Green Bay Packers, it has been nothing but dominance between the Packers and the Bears, and in favor of the Packers. He leaves to go to New York to the Jets for a solid 75 seconds before he snaps his fucking ACL. Great. Fucking shit. I'll talk more about that here in a minute now that I got that in my system. But week 1, it is Jordan Love from the Packers against King Fields and the fucking Chicago Bears. Also, hello, Inumaki. Good to see you in chat too. Anyways, Chicago fan base is saying, okay, it's the start of a new era. We're going into Green Bay. We are going to beat the Packers. We are going to start this new era we're going to start this Super Bowl season on a hot foot. What do? They get destroyed by the Packers, 38-20. Great. Oh well, it's the Packers. Next week, Tampa Bay. Again, Tampa Bay, after Tom Brady retired, they're now kind of just in a situation to where it's they don't know what they want to be. They have Baker Mayfield, who's mid at best. He's not the greatest QB, but he's not, terrible. He's all right. He's all right. Okay? He's not the greatest. But Tampa Bay, obviously, is not going to be in contention for the playoffs unless their division goes to shit, too, which might happen. But they go into Tampa Bay. Chicago gets destroyed again. 27-17. The next week, they go into Kansas City, and they get blown up, 41-10. I think you're catching a drift here. They're not good. They're not good. And now, players are self-destructing on the team. The fucking stadium got robbed, and $100,000 worth of stuff was stolen from that stadium. Their defensive coordinator, if I remember correctly, was ousted for very bad things in the sexual area of things. So that happened. And then they go face off against the Denver Broncos, who in week 3 against Miami gave up 70 points. Which, if you know anything about the NFL, that's the 3rd highest score of all time. Could have been first. Could have been like, we could have seen a historic game where if the Dolphins put up 73 points, which they had an opportunity to do, it would have been the most amount of points scored of all time. 1920 to now, all time. Most amount of points scored in an NFL game. But instead it's 3rd. Still, I'd say that's still just as, like, that's how bad the Broncos are. But the Broncos won against the Bears. So the Bears are in a horrible situation. And hey, guess what? They're facing off against the Washington football team, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. They're facing off against them tomorrow night. If they lose to Washington, it's over. They are going 0-17 this season. Mark my fucking words. There is no faith. I'd hate to be a Bears fan at this point. Like, I'd hate to be a Bears fan. Because, like, you have this entire fan base talk all this shit. And you're 0-4. Worst team in the NFL right now. Only competition to that is the Carolina Panthers, which shockingly is 0-4 with Bryce Young being behind QB. Like, so basically, the top storyline of the draft last season was the top 4 picks, which was Carolina, Houston, Indianapolis. I guess since they were all 3, okay, those 3 teams all took quarterbacks, okay? Carolina took Bryce Young at 1st overall, who was expected. That was expected. Because he played really good, and I think he won the Heisman, I believe, which is the college football, like, top thing, like the MVP, I guess. I don't know if he did or not. I can't remember. But he was a big guy. Like, he was a top of the line guy. Okay? So Carolina took him. Houston took Ohio State's CJ Stroud. Okay? Who came after, who like started in Ohio State after Joe Burrow left and joined the Bengals. And then Indianapolis took Anthony Richardson from Florida, from the Florida Gators. Okay. Basically, how everybody in the media was talking about, or in terms of like those 3 quarterbacks, was Bryce Young was going to change Carolina for the best, be like the best QB in that entire side of the division, which is the NFC South. CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson were going to like maybe be mid at best. You know, they wouldn't be Super Bowl contenders, let alone playoff contenders, okay? Well, let's say this. Houston and Indianapolis, both in the same division, the AFC South, they're both sitting 2-2, okay? They're doing good. CJ Stroud has not had a game. He has not turned the ball over once in Houston. He has over 300 yards in all of his games passing, which is quite crazy when you think about it, considering they have no weapons. And honestly, Houston and Indianapolis could potentially have a hell of a shootout within like the next couple of months, because they face off against each other in the last week of the season. So they could potentially dictate the AFC South. I hope, because I don't want the Jaguars or the Titans to also be in contention because I don't like either team. Let's be real. But the reason why I don't like them is because I'm a Colts fan. Like, okay, I have a friend who likes the Texans, and he's been in, like, going through so much fucking pain because the Texans have had no success in their young, historic franchise career. Okay. The Texans are, like, the youngest team, if you will. They, like, joined the league back in 2002. Okay. And they have not done shit since. Like, they've made the playoffs, but they've never made it far. They've never made it far into the playoffs, like, at all. Okay. So, I don't really hate them as much, but I don't really want to see them succeed either, you know? Like, it's more or less just like, hey, I would like this team if, you know, if that team became successful, it would, you know, make the Colts not successful. So, fuck them, essentially. But yeah, so the Colts, Texans, Jaguars, and Titans, they are all 2-2 right now, and I don't like that because that means that entire division is wide open for the playoffs. I don't fucking like that at all. I really don't. Especially because, like, I don't like, okay, again, let's look at Richardson, for instance, on the Colts, because I forgot to mention him too. He's actually pretty good. Okay, a lot of people weren't expecting him to do great because he didn't really play in college as much as the others did. Like, the others played, like, at least, like, roughly 16 to 20 games in college. Richardson barely played 13. Okay, so, like, he doesn't have much experience in college. And he didn't really play that well in college either compared to the other two. Alabama went to the national championship game with Bryce Young, and that was actually Stroud. Stroud went to the championship game with the Buckeyes, Ohio State, and Bryce Young went to some championship game. I don't think it wasn't the national championship, but like he went like big. Like I think they nearly went to the national championship, but they lost out to the Buckeyes, I believe. It was either the Buckeyes or Georgia, one of the two. But Bryce Young was, you know, there. Like, he was right there for the championship and missed out on it. CJ Stroud the same way. Richardson, not so much. He didn't really have a chance to show that part off. So, you know, Colts technically got the worst end out of it. You know, they didn't get the QB that everybody was hoping for, but then again, it was not gonna happen regardless. He's doing all right, you know. As a Colts fan, much better than the fucking shit show we had last season. Fucking hated last season so much, but I'm liking this season. We're 2-2. We barely lost against the Rams on Sunday in overtime for the second week in a row. We were down like 20 to like 0 or something like that, and they came back and set it into overtime and then lost out on a one-drive touchdown possession by the Rams. I don't like the overtime rules in the NFL. I like the college football overtime rules a lot better. It's like a drive starting from like the 25. So all you have to do is... So like, okay, how the college football overtime works, and this is what I like. You start at the 30-yard line of like the other side. So like you only have like 30 yards. You only have like 30 yards to work with. And you just go down the field. If you score a touchdown, then the other team has to score a touchdown. If they don't, you win. Okay? If you kick a field goal and they kick a field goal, you play into another overtime. There's been college football games that have gone into 5, if not 7 overtimes. And at that point, they just go into 2-point conversions, where it's just like, you get one play, get it in the end zone, and, you know, you survive. And you keep going, and you keep going until finally defense makes a stand. In the NFL, it's literally next point wins, and it comes down to, realistically, it comes down to a coin flip, literally. like in the instance of the Colts and the Rams game, where it was like, it literally came down to a coin flip, and the defense just couldn't, yeah. I want to say the record is 8 or 9 overtimes. 4 or 5 is when they go for 2. Yeah, I do remember seeing something where like there's like a game went into 9 overtimes, and that's where they were like, okay, we have to like not have this happen. I remember, I think it was because of that they started slimming down on like those rules, because they did not want games to go so long in like past their regulation. I found that funny though. I don't remember who played, because I know it was supposed to be like just a like 2 teams that really had nothing to play for, and then just all of a sudden, yeah, a lot of crazy shit happened that game. But I don't know. I don't really watch college football as much. I mean, I kind of do, because since I work in a hotel, whenever I work Saturdays, that's kind of all that's on the TVs. So I kind of watch some of it, but I also know that it's like, you know, I don't keep up with it as much, because I don't really have, like, I haven't really, like, the reason why I like the NFL so much is because I grew up with that, with my family. Whereas with college, nobody was really much of a college thing, like, in my family. I say that, but on my mom's side, there's a love for some certain college football teams there, but I never really follow it. Like, I follow it, but not on the way that I do in the NFL. I like to follow the NFL a lot more, like, closely than I do in the college stance, because, I mean, with the NFL, you're following 32 teams, but with college football, it's like, there's a fucking lot. There's a lot to choose from, okay? So I just kind of pick and choose what I watch and and it's like, you know, I like to just view it as like a, you know, I kind of keep an eye, like, I always keep an eye on the top 25 at the very least, so you kind of get a, you know, gist of, like, you know, if it's a top 25 game, it's bound to be a pretty good game. Anything else, if they're not ranked, it's not going to be a great game. That's the way that I've seen it. I mean, like, I've been slowly getting into the point where I'm getting more and more invested into the college football side of things. I mean, I really wouldn't know much about Bryce, CJ, or Anthony without, like, the last, like, 2 years where I've, like, started to get into college football. Like, I don't really follow, like, some of the top 25 teams, but I do try to, like, keep up with, like, some of, like, the seniors when they're about to enter in the draft class and stuff like that, so I can get, like, a good idea as to who's good, who's not. But continuing on here with, I guess, more team talk, I feel bad for the Jets. Okay? For, like, anybody that has not followed the Jets the last, like, 4 weeks of football, it has been nothing but, like, just pain for this team, okay? So, they go out and they sign Aaron Rodgers, who was dominant for the Packers. Like, helped the Packers win, like, 2 Super Bowls, I believe. He got them to, like, multiple playoffs and just terrorized everybody in the NFC side of the NFL. The Jets pick him up after a not-so-good season with the Packers because of a lot of different reasons. The Jets had a lot of expectations, both from the media and them, like, the fan base. Because, of course, you look at the last season and you had to deal with Zach Wilson, who was 2nd overall in the 22 draft. I don't remember what draft he was in, but he was 2nd overall. He had high expectations and he flopped. He was terrible last season. You go from that to signing a bona fide Hall of Famer. Like, give it 10 years, he's easily going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'd say a little bit earlier than that, but, Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 name in the NFL because of the fact of how dominant and good he was. You get him onto your team, that's going to give you some life. That's going to give you nothing but, optimism and hope for playoffs and more. Okay? Week 1, Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. A tough task for the Jets, but a hell of a matchup on paper. Josh Allen, who is a beast, who just slings the ball and just does not give a fuck, versus Aaron Rodgers. A hell of a matchup again on paper. Aaron Rodgers doesn't last more than 75 seconds before he tears his ACL and he is done for the season. Week 1, 75 seconds, done. He is done. All of that hope, all of that hype, all of that motivation and optimism gone like that. And who is their backup? Zach Wilson. Now, in the end, they still won that game, but it was mainly because Josh Allen threw 3 interceptions and really did not want the Bills to win the game because he was bad that night. All Zach Wilson had to do was just exist, and they would still win that game. They are 1-3. They are 1-3 right now. And that team is getting frustrated because of obvious reasons. They didn't just sign Aaron Rodgers, but they signed a whole slew of other players around that Aaron Rodgers wanted. So that the entire team, the entire team is built and made for Aaron Rodgers. Because they had the expectation that Rodgers was going to last 17 games. He didn't last 75 seconds. And now the entire offense is just gone. There is no life on that offense. They can't do anything. They have only scored 62 points. Which, to be fair, is better than the Patriots in their division, which only scored 55. Which, Jesus fucking Christ. As a Colts fan, I am so happy to see the Patriots in such shambles. I am so happy to see the Patriots just be garbage. For once in my life, I can finally witness the Patriots being nothing but terrible pieces of turds on the football field. I'm so happy. As a Colts fan, that makes me so happy because of the bullshit that happened with Tom Brady in the past 15 years. Mac Jones, the quarterback for the Patriots. Mac Jones is terrible. I don't even want to say, I don't want to say he's the worst in the NFL, okay? Because there's a lot of competition for that, okay? Off the top of my head, Ryan Tannehill from the Titans, Justin Fields from the Bears, Daniel Jones from the Giants, and this would fucking get me a lot of eyebrows raised if I said this last year. Joe Burrow from the Bengals. Those 4 have all been dog shit this year. Mac Jones, add him to the list. That's the top 5 for me. I'm watching those 5 play, and I cannot believe they're still a thing on their team. Like, I can't believe they're still starting. Because they're just so bad. Okay? Zach Wilson, I would put on that list. But the entire offense is supposed to be ran by Aaron Rodgers. Zach Wilson's technically a backup. But the other 5 that I just listed off, they're all starters. They're all starters. Joe Burrow last season took the Bengals nearly to the Super Bowl. Actually, I think they did go to the Super Bowl. Gotta look. I already forgot. No, sorry. They lost. Yeah, they lost. Okay, so the Bengals last season were 3 points away, I guess technically 4, from going to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Chiefs. Okay? That's fine. Okay. Let's look at the 4 teams that made it to the I guess you want to call them like the finals in a way. Not the Super Bowl, but like the championship games for their conference. So, in the NFC, the 49ers and the Eagles, who are doing just as well this year. Like, 49ers are undefeated, the Eagles are undefeated. Those 2 teams are undefeated. They're doing fine. Bengals, Chiefs. The Chiefs, they lost they lost a couple games, but they still look strong. They still look good. The Chiefs look pretty good, all things considered. I hate them more this year, but for other reasons. They only lost 1 game, and that was against the Lions. They still are pretty good regardless. How about the Bengals? They're 1-3 right now. They're the worst. Like I said, the 49ers and the Eagles. Okay, here's this. Here's this for you. The Eagles, the 49ers, the Chiefs have a combined record of 11-1. The Bengals are 1-3. Because Joe Burrow is playing injured. And they're not, and the front office is not smart. And they're just getting him killed out there, especially with their offensive line just being absolute shit. Their offensive line is trash. They are trash. Okay? I hate to say that because I kind of enjoy the Bengals. I don't want to say I hate them, but they're not the worst team, in my book, in my opinions, okay? But much to how the Rams did last season, the Rams last season went to the Super Bowl the prior year and then suffered and wholeheartedly the whole next season. But the Bengals didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. They lost. But they're so bad, I almost forgot that they made it to the conference championship game last season because it is such a complete 180 from what they were last season. They started off bad last season, but then they started coming back. But you're at a point right now where you are not going to make it to a conference championship game if you are sitting 1-3. Okay? Especially in an AFC that is so stacked, you kind of can't make a mistake at all. Let's look. I'm looking at these standings here. On the AFC side of things, there's only 3 teams. No, sorry. There's 5 teams that are sitting 1-3. Okay? Nobody's sitting 0-4. All those teams are on the NFC side of things. Okay? Whereas on the NFC side of things, everything is more or less kind of the same, but again, I feel like the NFC is kind of stacked, with the exception of the South, the more that I look at these standings. But anyways, the Bengals, they don't look good, but then again, everybody in the AFC North, they don't look good either. That division consists of the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Bengals. So let me go through that real quick, and let me tell you what I feel like with all those teams. So starting with the Ravens, because they're 3-1. I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Ravens. I don't know what to think of Baltimore. Like, they're sitting 3-1, with their one loss being to the Colts, by the way. Nice. I don't know. Like, Lamar isn't bad, because he's really using his legs a lot more this year than he did last year, I think. I could be wrong, but it just feels like every other highlight that I see of the Ravens is Lamar just taking the ball and just running it 15 yards for a touchdown. That's about it. That's all I fucking see. I don't see him passing it really that much. J.K. Dobbins tore his fucking ACL week 1, which is their best running back, I would say, top 3 of all time, easily. And he's gone again, so they kind of can't rely on the run that much, so unless it's Lamar. So, yeah, I mean, I would say they win the division. I don't know. I don't know. The Browns are a fucking shit show. The Browns are terrible. Like, I don't know how they're 2-2 right now. Probably because everybody they face is from the AFC North, and yeah, the Ravens destroyed them last Sunday. That just shows you how terrible the Browns are. Okay. Fucking Steelers are 2-2. Let me tell you some stats real quick here. Okay. The Steelers have not had a offensive powerhouse of a game in like 5 years. What I mean by that is every team in the NFL has had at least 3 or more games where they've had more than like 400 total yards of offense. Actually, more so 300, but I might be over exaggerating just a slight bit. But anyways, every other team in the NFL, with the exception of one, has had 300 yards or more of offense this entire decade. Okay? The Steelers don't have any. The Steelers don't have any. They're bad. Their offense is just lackluster. It's terrible. It's absolutely abysmal. But somehow they're 2-2 because they face the Browns and they face the Bengals and they face the Ravens 2 times a year. So that makes up for a lot of their wins this season. Like, that's an easy 4 wins for the Steelers. And they already got 2. So, I don't know. All I know is that the Colts face them sometime later this season. I think it's like late this season. And if I see the Colts lose to the Steelers, that'll probably make me absolutely sad. We could win every single game from here to the end of the season, but if we lose to the Steelers, I'm calling this season a fucking shitty season. I don't even care if we lose to the Patriots. I don't even care. I mean, I might fucking be a little bit more bewildered, more than pissed off, because, you know, you let Mac fucking Jones beat you. How sad. How fucking sad. I don't like... Mac Jones is fucking terrible. And they're paying him and, like, Daniel Jones so much fucking money. But they're not playing like it. Like, they're playing like they, you know, only need, like, 10... Like, they're playing, like, 10% of that contract, essentially. I don't know how much money it is off the top of my head without looking it up, but it's way too much money. It's essentially way too much money. Okay? Like, it's absurd. I was talking about the Bills for a minute a while ago. I'll talk more about them, but like the Bills and the Dolphins, they're the powerhouses of the AFC right now. Like, they're the top 2 teams of the AFC. I'd say one of those 2 teams makes it to the Super Bowl this year just because you look at, well, either them or the Chiefs. There's 3 teams I can easily predict it to be in the Super Bowl this year. It comes down to the Bills, Dolphins, and Chiefs. Because the Chiefs, they're the worst out of those 3. So that's why I kind of say it's either got to be the Bills or the Dolphins. I don't think it's going to be the Dolphins, though, because the Bills just faced off against the Dolphins, and they destroyed the Dolphins. Okay? Like 48-20, if I remember correctly. 40-20 or 48-20, one of the two. And that just shows that the Dolphins are not as good as the Bills. I could be wrong because it's only week 4 and that's the first time they've met. They'll meet again later this season. I'd actually like to be right on this one because the Bills going to the Super Bowl wouldn't be a bad idea. But also at the same time, if I could also pick an AFC team to go to the Super Bowl, that would be the Colts, because fuck all the other AFC teams. I'm a diehard Colts fan, if you couldn't tell, and I do not like talking good about any AFC team other than them. On the NFC side of things, I mean, I already talked about the joke of a organization like the Bears. I mean, I don't really have much to say about the NFC side of things. Like, maybe, I guess, other than the Giants just being absolute, like, train wreck of a team. Like, let me look here. They're, oh my Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. So, I just looked this up, and this is killing me right now looking at this. So, the Giants, the offense for the Giants is ranked 32nd out of 32. Their defense is ranked 30th out of 32. They're bad. They are bad. They are trash right now, dude. Like, it's kind of sad. Okay. So, wow. Okay. Looking at, to put this into perspective. All right. 4 weeks into the season, and the best offenses in the world, or I guess in the league, not in the world, but the best offenses in this league, okay, which are the Dolphins, the Bills, the 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Eagles, okay? Those 5 teams have each scored the following amount of points. Miami, 150. Buffalo, 139. San Francisco, 125. The Cowboys, 124. And the Eagles, 118. So, pretty much, from that perspective, those 5 teams, they score a lot of points in 4 weeks. That's a lot of points in 4 weeks, by the way. Okay? I mean, the Dolphins, when they score 70 in 1 fucking week, yeah, no wonder why they're up 25 points over the 49ers. It's close race after that, but like, yeah, no, it's pretty much clear that the Dolphins have a pretty good offense just for the fact that they can be pretty historic in their wins, but that's not the reason why I pulled this up. Let's look at some of the worst teams offensively. The Giants only have scored 46 points in 4 games. Which doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like that's bad. But then you look again, And it's like, the next worst team is the Bengals, and they sit with 49. The next worst is the Patriots, and they sit 55. The next worst is a tie between several fucking teams. The Saints, Falcons, Raiders, Steelers, Jets, they all have 62 points. What's the common theme with all those teams from what I've talked about earlier? They're all fucking trash this season in 4 weeks. Like the Giants scoring 46 points, that's a little over 10 points a game. Whereas with the Dolphins, they're scoring 37.5 points every game. That's almost 3 times, that's almost 3 times the amount of points. Maybe a bit more than that, actually. I don't know. Quick math really fucking hurt my brain. But yeah, the Giants' offense is terrible. Yet they paid Daniel Jones so much money. It's not good. The Bengals have the worst, passing, yards throughout the season with only 944 yards. But the Giants are right there with them with, only 1,000 yards. A little bit more than that, but who has the most interceptions in terms of passing? The Raiders have 7. Giants have 6. The Chiefs have 6, which is a bit surprising. Okay. 3 teams don't have an interception this season, which are the 49ers, the Texans, and surprisingly, the Cardinals. I'm surprised, actually. Several teams only have 1, which are the Chargers, Cowboys, Ravens, Colts, and Seahawks. Glad to be a part of that list right there, because that's pretty good. I mean, it's expected to throw at least 1 interception by this point, but some teams don't have any at all. That's fine by me, I guess. Let's see. What other stupid ass stat can I pull out of my ass right now? I guess nothing. I don't want to go too far into that, but yeah, it's a fucking nightmare to be a fan of the Bears. Essentially, that's. I don't even fucking. Granted, all of this is what I'm all of this stuff that I'm saying is 4 weeks into a season that is 17 games long. So you're looking at about 4 times, a little bit more than 4 times the 4 weeks that I just talked about. Actually 5, more so, 5 times. So things can change easily. I mean, I've seen a lot of times where teams go 1-3 and they start having a comeback and they make it into the playoffs. So the way that the playoffs work is essentially first place in every single division go make it to the playoffs, and then the 2 best teams that aren't the 2 best second place teams in the entire NFC and AFC make it as a wild card. Or it might be 3. Might be 3 if I remember correctly. I know it used to be 2. But now I think it's the 3 best second place. Or it might not even be second place. Rather, okay, so I always confuse this because it's always fucking confusing until it's repeated hundreds of times on TV. But if you're first place in your division, you're in the playoffs. If you're not first place, but you're still a good team, you can make it as a wild card. And then it's just hey, if you're not first place, then it's, first place of the division, then it's first place standings-wise overall in the NFC and AFC. And then those teams make it to the playoffs. So technically, an entire division could make it into the playoffs if they're all that damn good. But I think it's impossible to do that. On the contrary, We saw this like last year where a team could be so fucking bad that it's a losing record, but still make the playoffs because they were better than everybody else in their division. So it's very much a game of, well, I guess more so luck than consistency, because you could be the fucking you could be the terrible team of the South with a losing record and still make the playoffs because only one team, or like if you're number one in your division, you make it in the playoffs regardless of, you know, overall standings. I gotta find that season again. I think it might have been last season. NFC South. Yeah. So the fuck, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So basically last season, all but 2 teams made it to the playoffs with 10 or more wins. The only other 2 were the 9-8 Jacksonville Jaguars and the 8-9 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know what to say to that. That's kind of sad. Not gonna lie. The 8-9 Tampa Bay team going to fucking good lord. I don't even know what to say to that. That's abysmal. Oh my God. I've never seen that outside of that year. Like there's been teams that have been like 8-8 and they go to the playoffs, but never actually a losing record. Okay. It's so bad. Like, the NFC South last year was terrible. Like, so Tampa Bay was 8-9. The other 3 teams weren't that much better, obviously. Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta, they all went 7-10. Fucking hell, that was a terrible division last season. Shaping up to be just a tad bit better. Not by much. Not by much. Tampa Bay is only 3-1, but they're barely 3-1. The Saints are probably the worst 2-2 team I've ever seen in my life. Atlanta's probably going to get rid of their quarterback at some point this season because he ain't doing good, sitting 2-2. Carolina's still trying to find their footing with the number 1 overall pick in Bryce Young, but they're still setting 0-4, so Bryce is not having a good rookie season regardless. As much as I hate to say that, because again, he is a hell of a player. But when you're in the NFL, no team's gonna, you know, you're not. I sometimes wish the best the best teams went first in the draft, or fuck, you know, like I talked about how I don't like the overtime rules in football. In the NFL, more specifically, I don't like the NFL's draft thing that much. Like, I understand it. It is a very, like, simple concept. Worst goes first. Best goes last. Okay? You save the best team for last and the worst goes first. It is a good concept. But I also don't like it. Because I feel like it ruins, like, this is a hot take. I feel like that ruins a lot of potential for, like, the good players. Because, like, for instance, Bryce Young, he's obviously, like, one of the top players in all of college football. But he goes to a team that's so abysmal that he's gonna, like, waste away until he gets traded to a better team. Or at least eventually released from this terrible-ass team. It's like, Bryce Young is not the problem, and the problem is the fact that they have no weapons, and their defense is abysmal. Like, borderline, like, worst in the NFL. Borderline worst in the NFL. Also, their coach is Frank Reich. He can go fuck himself. As a Colts fan. Anyways. Like, Bryce Young could easily be, like, a top quarterback if he went to a better team. That's why I just say, like, why not just have, like, I don't know, like, I think the NBA does this, where, like, they do a lottery draft, where they literally just randomize the teams. I don't know, I feel like that's not a good idea either, but I feel like there's not gonna be a good solution to the draft. Because again, it's like all the best players just waste away. Especially if the front office is stupid and they don't know how to, you know, build a team. But I don't know. That's just me. Am I surprised that I've talked for about an hour straight about football? I really shouldn't, because that's my passion. Especially in the morning when I'm like more in a talkative mood. It was bound to happen. Well, that's how I think so far about this season. It'll be a whole lot better for a lot of teams. But I'm glad that it's that way, though, because I don't like a lot of teams. Like, it's such a, like, passion-filled hate for a lot of teams. But I also don't really want to see a lot of teams, like, you know, suck. Like, it's hard for me to hate... it's hard for me to hate the Lions. It's hard for me to hate the... That's really about it, to be honest. Maybe the Bills. I don't know. Bills Mafia fucking sucks. I hate the fucking fan base, but... There was also one other thing that I wanted to talk about too, and it actually isn't about football for once. It's about something that I found on Twitter last night. And I don't know how to transition from football to VTubing, but I'm gonna try to, because I know that me like rambling about football is not something I want to do all the time, because I know it's not the, you know, it's not what people really care about. And I know that a lot of people aren't going to sit and listen to me ramble about something they don't have any interest in. I'd like to be wrong, but I'm just saying. But what I saw last night on Twitter was, and I've already quote tweeted it a little bit about it, but ouch. I kind of had this topic talked about already before, about how the whole like landscape of VTubing has like drastically changed between, I guess, 2020, 2021, somewhere like that. It has changed a lot between the last 3 years. It's changed a lot, like super drastically, like way too quickly, in my opinion. And I saw like a tweet last night from an ASMR VTuber, which I guess isn't really important, but I'm just saying I'm not a huge fan of ASMR VTubers. That's just a personal opinion. I don't really... I'm just not a huge fan of ASMR. Like, especially the ones that, like, get real up close to the microphone. It makes me feel really uncomfortable, which is, like, I surprisingly the opposite effect of what ASMR is supposed to do, but it has an opposite effect for me. I know a lot of people like that kind of stuff, but I don't like that kind of, like, tangent. I'm sorry, but the microphones that are used for, like, ASMR, the ones that pick up literally everything, I don't like it. I don't like it. It just feels so uncomfortable, especially when they get right up close and personal. It feels like you're right up into my face. You can see the appeal for people that are affected by it or find it relaxing. Like, okay, I understand, like, the noises, okay? Like, ASMR noises, like rain, or, like, nature, or, like, soft music, or not even, like, so much, like, that sort of stuff, but, like, maybe, like, footsteps, like, you know, like noises. They don't really make me uncomfortable. Okay, like that ASMR, that's great. You know, like that actually helps me out a lot more, especially during the nighttime. But I also say that, but you know, rock music also helps me sleep at night, so it's a flip of the coin for me. But anyways, it's more or less like voices, like whispers, or like eating, or that's more of like, no, that's way too close for comfort for me. That's my line, okay? Like, I get that it's still like a big thing for like everybody else. I get that, but I also am like, that's not something I can ever think I would ever enjoy, to be honest. But anyways, that was a terrible ass tangent, I know, but that just shows how fucking tired I am right now, and I kind of want to get through this topic a little quickly. But I'm still gonna put a lot of, you know, passion into this subject. I just kind of want to talk about it a little bit because I am tired. So this means it's gonna be a good topic. Anyways, so I saw this tweet, and it was basically going over the whole, you know, fact that a lot of VTubers are graduating. And because a lot of people are graduating nowadays because of the overabundance of VTubers, a lot of people are getting very, I think this was like a very, like a separate tweet. I saw that like a lot of people were getting like very desensitized to it. They were like, you know, oh yeah, it happens, you know, whenever it happens, it's just like a, oh no, this sucks, but it is what it is kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? Like, because like, I've experienced this too, you know, with people graduating nowadays, unless it's a very close friend, I tend to just kind of say like, fuck, you know, that sucks. And that's probably a huge blow to the industry, but what do you want me to do about it? Like, what do you want me to feel about it? You know, like, I haven't really like connected closely with many VTubers. Okay. And I also know that it's like, there's a good, a good chance, I don't want to say a great chance, but like a good chance that if one of my closer friends was graduating, I would probably be able to stay in contact with them in some capacity. Especially because a lot of my closer friends aren't necessarily like the same kind of VTubers that I necessarily am, in a way, where it's like, I guess, for example, like, a lot of VTubers that graduate are mainly like they're like into the corporate side of VTubing. Okay? It also doesn't help that there's been enough of them coming right back not long after that. That is also true too. The fact that it's like, oh yeah, they may be graduating as this person, but they'll show up as this person within at least a month. At least a month. Okay, maybe a bit more than that, but, you know, you'll see them quickly at some point or another. Okay? Because they never really go away. Okay? They never really go away. That's impossible. Anyways, like I was saying before, a lot of the, like, VTubers that don't, embrace themselves or, like, open up, mainly, those kinds of VTubers that graduate that are more, like, on the corporate side of VTubing, they'll obviously come back and they'll be, like, a corporate VTuber for, like, some other company, or they'll, like, I don't know, go do something as independent. That's kind of what I did, okay? That's kind of what I did. I when I left my agency, I had to start over, okay? Like, I had to start over, and I continued to be what I am, obviously, because that's what I wanted to do, okay? But I had to leave my old accounts because they were technically not mine. Now they are. 100%. At least this one is. But a lot of my friends, like a lot of my closer friends, are VTubers that are literally like, oh, you know, if we ever decide to graduate, we're probably just going to get rid of the character and just rebrand and change all of our like names and change all of this stuff, and probably not get rid of accounts and not change accounts or do all that stuff. Or at the very least, they'll just embrace more of their IRL side of things. Jesus Christ, fucking noises outside the house are getting annoying. Cars are very annoying. I don't know if you can hear that or not. But anyways. But yeah, it's like, you know, they aren't really necessarily quitting. They're just maybe stopping what their, like, persona is in terms of, like, their VTuber or whatever. Maybe they're rebranding or something like that. Either way, I could still probably stay in contact with about 80% of my friends, I would think. I think that may be thinking a bit too high. Maybe, like, still a good 50-50, I would say. And I've always been that kind of person where I hate when somebody of, like, you know, some VTuber that I'm close with graduates, because I kind of also, like, really want to stay connected with them. And I've always been a person where it's like, hey, if I'm going to stop VTubing at some point, which I don't have any, you know, plans in the short term to do that. But if that ends up happening, I want to always stay connected. So I'll always be all like, hey, this is where you can stay in contact with me if you want to. If not, I don't give a fuck. That's your choice, not mine. But I'm like, hey, you know, I'm always wanting to be, I'll always, like, try to be, like, in contact. You know, just because I get in contact with you the first time doesn't mean I don't want to get, you know, stay in contact with you. Like, if I stay in contact with you, yeah, I would like to not stop that contact ever. So that's essentially how I see it, but it just seems like that's kind of not the case anymore. You know, like, it's very hard to network with people nowadays too. It just feels like it is super difficult to find new people to talk to without some sort of, like, alternative motive, I guess. That sounds evil of me to say, but it's like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, you know, I want to connect with people just because I want to connect with people. I don't want to connect because I want to collab. That would be great, but I don't want to, like, connect because I want to, you know, collab or stream or whatever. I just want to do it because I want to know new people and talk to new people. You know, it's like, I don't know how that's hard to do, and that's just how VTubing. But then again, it's also because, again, like, we have so many, like, new VTubers popping in and popping out. Yeah. It's harder now because there's a lot more now. Okay? Like, it's so easy now to get, you know, thrown to the side, or it's easy to, like, be done wrong because of how many. It's just, that's just how it is. Okay? And it also has to do with the fact that, and this is another, like, huge reason, okay? When the pandemic hit, okay? When the pandemic hit, it really, like, messed up everybody's schedule. Okay? Everybody's schedule got screwed up because of the pandemic. And being a VTuber helped with that. Being a VTuber helped with filling that time, fixing that time, getting stuff, you know, done right. And it also helped, especially for the ones that were successful 3 years ago. It helped when they needed it most, making that money, okay? And now it's getting to that point where, because there's so many VTubers now, it's not guaranteed you're gonna make any money. Okay? So a lot of people want to do this. A lot of people back 3 years ago wanted to do this for the money. Wanted to do it because it was making them money. Of course. If money's talking, money's gonna be the factor that brings people in. Okay? And once that slowly died off, then all the ones that did this for the money, they're gonna start disappearing. Like, and it's gonna get to a point where most, if not, I definitely wouldn't say all, but like I'd say a good 80% of VTubers are just going to be like those VTubers that are doing this strictly for the hobby side of things. Which is sad, because this is probably one of the most expensive ways to get into content creation. It's fulfilling because you could be more, like, expressive, and, you know, you, like, for me, like, take it from me as somebody who has really kept himself, like, before VTubing, I kept myself to, like, myself, and, like, I couldn't dare to make a cover. I couldn't dare myself to create an original sound piece. I couldn't dare myself to, like, play a lot of the games that I do or chat with some of the topics that I talk about, because it wouldn't, you know, it be for a lot of reasons. Okay? But now that I was able to open myself up a little bit more, that kind of changed. And you could be a bit more expressive. A lot more expressive as a VTuber. So even though it's expensive as hell, it's more expressive than any other way. And at least it's a good way of getting comfortable, for that matter, at least. And for a lot of other people, it's just they want to see if they can make a return on investment with, because, like, again, you're spending a good $1,000 at the very least to get a model made, okay? And that's if you want to have it be good quality, okay? And you want to see if you can get that in return investment. And when some people don't, they get burnt out, they get tired, and they just say, all right, I'm done. And I don't blame them, because streaming for, like, what feels like forever and not making anything happen out of it, especially with, like, everything that goes on in this industry, and you see everything that goes on, like, front, face, and center, it's a pain in the butt. It is a pain in the butt, okay, to, like, you know, mentally keep yourself sane, okay, and keep going if you're not already successful, okay? But yeah, it just feels like nowadays there's just a transition between eras. Like, it's like there's an era of VTubing back in, like, 2020 and 2021 where it just felt like a fever dream, in my opinion. It just felt like, even though there was a lot to choose from, there was a good variety. And people just felt like they genuinely enjoyed it more than now. Like, I don't know why that is. You would think that because, you know, with the schedule being back to the way that it is, or back to the way that it was before the pandemic, that people would enjoy streaming a bit more, because they would, you know, they're able to do it more as a hobby. Not so much for the money, but just for the hobby, if, you know, they have that option, you know. But if they also have to, like, work for it, like, you know, stream for, like, a job or something like that, they could also still enjoy it still, because, you know, they could do stuff on the side at the same time, but they could also, like, I don't know. Like, for the hobby side of things, I feel like then would be like, you know, you would get people who would enjoy it more because, you know, it's a hobby and you really don't want to spend too much time on this hobby because you'll get burnt out and you wouldn't like it anymore. But it just seems like every other VTuber that I see, and if I ever talk to some VTubers, they always say that they really don't enjoy streaming. But they feel like it's a chore, that they have to do it. It's not much of a hobby. And it feels like now that's becoming more and more common, and I don't know why. Like, I genuinely don't know why. Felt like, you know, a couple years ago when the pandemic was around, it was like, well, you know, it might not be the greatest, but it's definitely like a good time waster. Whereas like now it's kind of different in a bad way. I don't know. Like, again, I can't really explain it that well. Mainly because I'm tired as fuck. But like, and my voice is starting to get more and more dead because I've been talking for 2.5 hours almost straight. I'm slowly beginning to realize I'm becoming more of a chatting VTuber than a gaming VTuber because I'm doing these more and more often than gaming. That's not good. Anyways, but yeah, it's like, you know, there's a lot more people graduating now for 2 reasons. You know, one, because they're done with their current persona and they're going to become more corporate and go to a different persona. Okay, and maybe join Nichi Sanji or, God forbid, V Shoujo. But I don't know. It's either that or people are actually becoming more burnt out or fed up with the whole side of VTubing. And like I said, I kind of understand it from my personal experience. It's definitely not fun trying to do something like this for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and you get like very little, or you feel like you've hit to the point of you've overstayed. You've overstayed your welcome. You know, you don't have much more to give. Like, that happens a lot more often than you think. But it also just doesn't, you know, like, I mean, like, what's interesting about VTubing and VTubers as a whole is, and I guess what also makes them different from other, you know, YouTubers or streamers, is that streamers and YouTubers really can't, I guess, innovate the way that VTubers can. Okay? When this brings out some pros and cons to it. Like, what I mean by this is, like, you look at somebody like, you know, Charlie, Moist Critical, or like you look at a bunch of like YouTubers in general, like the top YouTubers or the top streamers on Twitch, you realize that a lot of them really don't like innovate. Like, once they do what they're doing, they kind of stick with it, maybe evolve with the times and like maybe upgrade some stuff here and there, but they don't necessarily like completely change their whole personality or persona. And VTubers can do that because, for obvious reasons, obviously. But the reason why you see a lot of people graduate is because they feel like they want to do something different. But they don't want to do it as a certain character or like a character name because, well, I mean, do you think a character, let's say for instance Gura, okay? Or actually, let's actually not use Gura. Let's use somebody more obvious, like Okayu. Like, okay, Okayu, obviously a cat VTuber from Hololive, okay? Obviously. But if she decided to change the persona and decided to be more of a, I guess, I don't know, like, you know, you think of something like a complete 180, but kept the name, that wouldn't work. So they have to like do a complete rebrand, and a lot of times a lot of times the rebranding process just goes as, well, you gotta rename. Just do a little bit more than renaming yourself. You gotta like change up the whole brand. You gotta like make new accounts. You gotta do all this and do all that. I don't know about making new accounts. That's a bit overkill unless you are a corporate VTuber. But then again, I also hope that the corporate side of VTubing goes down, in my opinion, because there's no fucking reason for corporate VTubing to be the way that it is right now, and it's a very low point, in my opinion. Like, a lot of agencies take advantage of talents. A lot of talents are desperate enough to accept it, and a lot of these agencies don't give any benefits to these talents, okay? Like, I don't want to shit talk Niter at all, but the one big negative that I always give it, is the fact that I had to reset my accounts and I had to change my accounts. Obviously, understandably so, but it didn't help. It really didn't help that I had to like, I worked hard on a year for the content that I made on those old channels, and then I had to immediately after I decided to like not stick around, I had to immediately like give it all up, and I had to restart. And let me tell you, it has not been good. It's not been a good reset at all, okay? I know I technically could say that I've been independent for a year now, but I've been streaming for 2 years. And it just feels like that shouldn't be, like, I shouldn't split those two things up. I should just say I've been streaming for 2 years on one account. But yeah, I don't like the corporate side of VTubing at all. It's always been terrible. But again, the way that the industry was back in like 2020 and 2021, you could not get into VTubing without auditioning somewhere sussy. You just couldn't. You couldn't. You'd be damned if you find anything any way, really, to get into VTubing without auditioning for an agency or something like that. I mean, nowadays, it's almost, better for you to, like, find somebody to just give you a simple design and then work around that and then build off from that, okay? Or if you are an artist yourself, the entry is right then and there for you. If you are artistic in a way and creative, then you have the best time getting into the VTubing industry or whatever you want to call it, because you literally can make your design, give it to somebody who can rig it, if not yourself, and next thing you know, you're in, and you pretty much maybe only spend like, $200 at most if you want to get somebody who can rig it for you, or if you do it yourself, you kind of get it for free, kind of. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of fucking time and effort to make a model. Don't get me wrong. That's not something I will never say that it's easy and, quick to get a model done, because even though I have not really had that experience personally, it's not fun from like just looking from the outside. It's like, yeah, going through the process of making a model, fuck, I can't, because I don't have a single creative bone in my body. I wouldn't be able to draw. I wouldn't be able to pinpoint anything down and make it like that way. I just couldn't. I wouldn't be able to. I literally have to get like help from like so many people, because I don't know what I want I wouldn't know what I would want in a creative thing, okay? Like, I need a lot of creative like input when I'm trying to be creative. The only time I wouldn't need that is when I make my music, but that's why a lot of my music is, with the exception of the latest EP, basic, okay? because I try not to like overthink things and overstimulate myself when making things. I just couldn't do that with drawing. I really couldn't. But yeah, like, I would definitely say that there's been a lot of changes. Something just play. I didn't hear anything on my desktop audio, but something definitely played. I don't know what. Is that an alert? I have no idea. My brain. I have not had my headphones on at all this stream. So I don't know if something played in my thing or not. Something did play. It wasn't loud. Anyways, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, there has been a massive difference between what VTubing was like back in, like, 3 years ago to now. Okay? There's been some massive differences here. And a lot of it has to do with, I guess, just how common VTubing has become and how mainstream it's gotten. So when something becomes mainstream, a lot of bad things start coming from it. Like a lot of bad people, a lot of bad agencies, and then those bad things start getting the limelight, and the next thing you know, it's almost impossible to... like, I guess, feel optimistic about the whole, like, VTubing side of things, because you feel like everything's just kind of been there, done that kind of deal. Like when new innovations come out, or sorry, not new innovations, when new models come out and new, like, VTubers come out and, like, debut, you almost just kind of get that feeling like you already know this person. Like, you already know who this person is. Maybe not entirely, but something just sounds or feels familiar about this person. Or maybe, at the very least, they may be actually, like, somewhat different. Okay? But what is their personality like? What do they do? What are their special abilities? Or what are their special, like, likes or dislikes? Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's kind of getting a bit more and more difficult to be on the, I guess, unique side. I don't want to say that because obviously there could be a lot of unique, like, VTubers that pop in and pop out, but it's not just that, but it's also, like, graduations. They're very common. They're very common now. It's almost like one a week. Like, one massive graduation announcement every week now. But that's also saying, like, there's also a lot of VTubers outside of that big announcement. There's also, like, a lot of other people that are going on hiatus. Others that are just, like, silently just saying, I'm giving up, I'm done with this shit. There's also a lot of, like, VTubers that are just, like, they are, you could obviously tell they're on, like, they're right next to that door of graduation. They're, like, staring at it, and they're about ready to turn that knob and send that graduation notice. That fucking white piece of paper with all that small black text, or maybe it's not even a picture or, like, a thing like a paper, but it's just, like, in brackets, graduation announcement. You're waiting for that eventually to pop up to them. It's so common nowadays that it's almost like you kind of expect it, and when it does happen, it's like you saw it coming, or if you didn't see it coming to that specific person, you're really not, like, you get to a point where you're not really, like, surprised. Still. You're like, oh, that's, like, I didn't expect it, but I can understand it. And I can definitely either see them coming back in a few months' time, or who knows? It also depends on who that person is that's, just announced it. Like, if it's somebody who's been on the cusp of corporate VTuber, like, they don't necessarily connect with their viewers, or they don't necessarily collaborate with that many, like, viewers, or if they're, like, basically not corporate VTuber, but corporate still VTuber, if you will, where it's like, they're not a corporate VTuber, but they act like it, and they just randomly announce a graduation. Yeah, they're going corporate, obviously. It's like 100% of the time when somebody who's, like, pretty big, who's like, oh my god, I'm graduating, I'm going to be stopping my activities on this day, I had so much fun, I look forward to meeting you again. It's like, yeah, bitch, we'll see you in about 2 months' time. Clock's ticking. I'm gonna look on Nichi Sanji, I'm gonna look over at Prism Project still a thing? I don't even know what companies still exist, but it's like, I'm waiting for you to pop up somewhere, and there you are. That's just, that happens so often that it's like, those kinds of graduations just aren't, like, they don't hit for me anymore. They just don't hit for me. It's just like, I saw it coming. You're going corporate. See you in a few months. What it does do, okay. So, as somebody who has tried on many occasions to do something creatively with my content that involves other VTubers, like, for example, the VTuber Wrestling Federation, or the VTuber Football Tournament, or in this upcoming project where I take literally the VTubers and plaster them on cars and have them race around the goddamn racetracks. Sorry I spoiled that, but hey, I have the trailer coming up here around here in the next couple weeks. I don't know when that's actually going to start, though. I don't know yet. I don't know. It might be November. Football season is really kicking my ass with my schedule. Yeah, I don't have much time in my lifetime. But anyways, tangent there again. The one thing that has always been consistent with every fucking project that I do that involves other VTubers, I will, without fail, make a list of VTubers who are, maybe very corporate, maybe not super corporate, but still popular, and maybe a couple friends here and there. Okay? Without fucking fail, one of those VTubers, like 3 weeks from now, will post a graduation paper saying, I'm graduating now, I am no longer being a VTuber, this is the last time you'll see me, bye-bye. It's happened so many fucking times, I don't even know how to, like, work around it. For example, in the VTuber Federation, there's, like, VTuber Wrestling Federation, that I now officially could say that it's done. I've had enough with it. I've not had fun with doing it the last, like, several months that it was a thing. I tried it one last time. I didn't enjoy it for a number of reasons, mainly because of the game just being absolute trash. WWE 2K22 is not a great game. It's not. I missed 2K19, but I worked so hard on all the stuff in 2K22 that I can't go back to 19 and recreate it all. It's just not possible. I give up with the Wrestling Federation stuff. Even though that was probably one of my favorite things to do, I did it way too early in my run, I feel, as a VTuber. I should have probably waited. I could probably bring it back, but it won't be for a long-ass time. Anyways, tangent again. In the VTuber Wrestling Federation, there was at least like 10 VTubers that I made that announced their graduation. And the way that I treat it was I try to get rid of them, or I might keep them around, but it's hard for me to like really like keep them around if they're like, you know, why? They're gone. They're fucking gone. They don't exist, man. What are you doing? So like, it's happened so many times where I've tried to make VTubers into something for my streams to basically showcase that I like these VTubers, and they disappear within the next couple months. And I definitely can predict that will happen with this racing thing that I'm going to do in about a month's time. I predict it. I predict that it's even going to happen before the first fucking race gets streamed, that somebody from that list of VTubers, and literally one of the VTubers that I spent maybe like a half an hour on making a car for, I know one of them's gonna probably be like, oh, I'm done being a VTuber, bye. I can't fucking wait. And by that I mean, I hope it never fucking happens again, because I fucking hate VTuber graduations. That's essentially what I'm trying to say here. Because it's really annoying. It is really fucking annoying, especially when it's, you know, somebody that you actually kind of like enjoyed watching for a little while, and you just fucking just see them immediately just say like, okay, I'm done. I can't wait to see y'all again. It's annoying. Like, I really don't know what else to say about that. It's just ridiculous. It really is like absolutely ridiculous, because, you know, I actually try to be creative for once, and the VTubers that, you know, would help that immediately are like, fuck you, bye. So, and like I said, if the VTubers aren't necessarily super duper corporate anymore, even if they're like on the verge of being corporate, but they aren't corporate, you know what I mean? Like, they're partnered VTubers that aren't corporate, then if they graduate, they're probably like, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to nowadays decipher whether or not if they're quitting for real or if they're just leaving that persona to rot. Especially because since all of, like, the more times that this happens, the less memorable a VTuber is going to be a year after they graduate, in my opinion. Because so many people are going to graduate that it's going to be hard to remember all of the VTubers that have graduated. And because of the fact that it's becoming a point where we're getting to a point now with social media and YouTube, kind of, where inactive accounts, to the point of like, if you don't log, like, this is a thing with Google, okay, with YouTube. If you don't log in to your email, or like do something as simple as, you know, try to log in using like your password, or just try to like log into your accounts, if you don't do that for like a certain period of time, which is like a year or two, which I think is like actually like a little bit more than that, but still, then the email gets deleted. The email account gets deleted. The YouTube account gets deleted. Everything associated with that account gets deleted. That email, at least. It'll get to a point where if you're not consistently like trying to log in, or you have something that is logged in, if you don't have something that is logged in, but that's what it is. It's not like if you like are logged in somewhere and just haven't like, you know, touched it. Okay, that's fine. But like if you aren't logged into any devices for a certain amount of time, then the account's deleted because it's obviously inactive. But it's gonna get to a point where there's so many accounts that are inactive, especially VTubers, that they're just gonna be like taken down and not a soul will notice it because they were just one of thousands that left and got forgotten about. Now, I always say, like, I always see people saying, like, they'll never forget it. You know, they'll never forget the VTuber. They'll never forget, like, all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But it's still not great to see so many VTubers just disappear the way that they do. Also, hello Zitro, glad to see you finally made it to a stream. Although it might not be a very long stream after this point because I've been talking for 2.5 hours straight. And I am getting more and more tired by the minute. It is 10:30, Jesus Christ. I don't want to be on for too much longer. I'll be probably on for like another like 20 minutes at least. Maybe 20 minutes at most, to be honest. Probably hit like a 3-hour stream and call it. But yeah, like, VTubing definitely has hit a point where I just can't see it being the way that it was back 2 to 3 years ago. I just don't see it. Because when VTubing was more of like the close quarters, when VTubing was more like close quarters, like hobbies, where like it was kind of like a niche. You know, you kind of knew everybody, like, but you didn't. It was like a big high school, maybe bigger college levels of, you know, everything, where it's like you might not know everybody, but you could definitely get, you know, you definitely have seen these people around a lot. Okay. It's gotten to a point where it's not even so much a college anymore at the biggest. We're talking like entire countries. Like, there's a lot more VTubers now than there were about like 2-3 years ago when the pandemic was at its heyday. I don't know. Like, I can't really be optimistic about the future of VTubing. Because it's just very questionable. It's a very questionable future. Because I can't, like, I don't want to say it's the downfall. Like, VTubing is going to die within, like, a few years' time. Because I don't feel like... I always have, like, this, like, very flip-flop opinion where it's like, I don't think VTubing will ever necessarily go away because, you know, the concept of VTubing is only going to evolve more and more to the point where it becomes more and more common to see, like, good, like, smooth VTubing. Or, like, smoother VTubers, I guess. But I also see it, like, where it's going to get to a point where we're going to see a lot of VTubers transition into, like, actual, like, IRL streamers. Because they're going to get more and more comfortable with themselves, or they're going to be like, you know, they're going to be like, yeah, I don't know. I got nothing to show for it. So here we go. Here's me, actually. I don't think VTubing will also like go away, because VTubing is a really... Alright. I guess my internet is wanting me to stop streaming it. I guess so, huh? Where are you trying to go so high? Okay. Well, I guess my internet's telling me to not continue that much longer. Good thing. So I guess I'll make this last point and then I'll end the stream, because I don't want to stream for too much longer, according to my OBS. It is getting to be that time. And I have been streaming for a long time, so I guess it's a fair warning. Anyways, give me about, like, hopefully it could give me another, like, 10 minutes. 5 minutes, please. Fucking 5 minutes. Give me 1 fucking minute. Sorry. The facts with VTubing is it allows people, those that don't want to show your face, to have a face. Literally the point I was gonna make before my internet took it right out from under me. But yeah, it's like VTubing has allowed people who aren't necessarily comfortable with streaming with their face to stream with a face, essentially. Because before that, a lot of people would do is just stream their game capture with very little commentary, okay? Whereas, like, with a little bit of help from a couple outside sources, you can make it to where your streams have a bit of personality to them. A bit more personality to them, if you will. Okay? So that is probably, like, one of the best things to come out of VTubing, is the fact that it's becoming more and more accessible to do an alternative to just doing the bare minimum for a stream, okay? That's the one thing that I'm forever grateful for with VTubing, but again, it's always a case of, is that going to be forever? I say yes, because obviously with the fact that it's gotten more and more accessible and easier to make models, or at the very least a PNG model, I don't think it would ever necessarily be gone. More so, you know, people might not use it as often, or I don't know. You know, like, I don't know. Like, that's subjective, in my opinion. It's very subjective. I just don't necessarily see, like, the complete fall of VTubing, because, like, so I might say this. I'll say this. The fall of corporate VTubing might be in the future. Okay? I mean, Yago kind of retired in a way. Like, he didn't really retire, but he stopped doing, like, the main focal point of Hololive, which is, like, making the models and working with the models. He kind of retired doing that from what I saw, because he's 50 fucking years old. He's lived a good life, though. He's living a good life, I should say. But rather, it's like, I don't necessarily think corporate VTubing is going to stick around for another 5 or so years. I just don't see it. I just don't. God damn it. I don't see it. Because I don't think corporate VTubing is going to stick around, especially with the way that a lot of agencies have been the last couple of weeks, especially. I feel like once Nichi Sanji and Hololive finally take a big fall, that's when that downfall starts. It's not now, but it's definitely in the future. But VTubing will never really be done, because there'll always be introverts, there'll always be people who do not want to show their faces on stream. So if they exist, which they always will, there will always be people willing to make a model, make it rigged, make it move, make it all sorts of different kinds of like overlays and all that sort of stuff, and it's only going to cost you maybe about a couple $1,000s. No big deal. No big deal. You know, no big deal whatsoever. Not a big deal whatsoever. I don't think, like I said, like, once a lot of big agencies fall, that's when you will start seeing some downfall, but in the independent circuit of VTubing, I do not see that falling in the slightest. Not for at least the next couple of years. You might see a lot of like indie VTubers kind of like take a step back, and there might be more PNG or chibi, but I don't think you'll necessarily see like, you might not see like top grade like motion capture models or like fully developed like, you know what I mean. You know what I mean when it comes to like the Hololive and Ichisanji kind of like deals. Never gonna really see that in the independent circuit. And even if you did, it's gonna be from somebody who's spent like a good majority of their like last few years just dedicating themselves to this kind of shit. It's not worth it though, in my opinion, because like streaming is such a fucking like huge like cesspool of people that it is almost impossible to like stand out from the crowd. And if you do stand out, it's not for long, and it's a pain in the butt necessarily to keep up with it. And I don't necessarily want to put myself in that said spot. Listen, if I ever hit that point to where like I can consistently like stream and whatever, and like have a following like partner status, if I ever head to a point where I'm like pushing for partner or whatever, then like that's great, but I would always be like, yeah, I don't care. Like, if it like, because I don't want to push myself to keep something that's so inconsistent, you know? Like, I'm going to push myself to try and average 75 viewers per stream, but how am I going to do that? By doing stuff I don't like? No, thank you. I would much rather just be who I am and either gradually grow or grow very slowly. But I don't know. I'm just not much of a like person who's gonna like sell their soul to the devil and all that. I'm much rather just going to stick to being who I am and all that sort of stuff, because I don't think that would be right for me to do something like that. I may take a sponsorship deal every once in a while if I hit a certain point, but that's only because I want the money. That's only because I want money. But I'll only take sponsorship deals if it's something I genuinely feel like I would enjoy doing. Not rather like, you know, I'm not that much of a scumbag. I mean, I am one, but I'm not a big one, you know? I'll definitely like take a sponsorship deal if it's like a game that I think I would enjoy. Be all like, hey, you know, fuck it, you know, I'll do it. But don't expect me to, you know, take a sponsorship deal from like something that's going to be like a scam or anything like that, even with the money, even if the money's pretty big. Because I'm not that kind of VTuber. I am not that kind of a VTuber. I like to be something else. I like to be my own kind of VTuber, and that's myself. And that be that. I'm trying to think of who I want to raid today on Twitch, but there's fucking nobody online. So, like, I don't think I'm gonna raid anybody. I think I'm just gonna end the stream and just go to sleep. So I've been streaming for about 3 hours now. Sun's beaming in my eyes right now. Like, it's literally fucking beaming me and right in the fucking eye, and it's hurting me. I need to start wearing sunglasses on stream now because I'm starting the stream in the mornings again. But real quick, yeah, before I end the stream, like I said, just now. I'll probably start streaming more in the mornings again because my schedule for work is now that. I'm going to be working overnight, so I'm going to be home in the mornings. I'm going to be able to actually be doing some streams in the morning, which are probably one of my favorite times to stream. I'll actually play some games here probably tomorrow morning. If I play I might play Rocket League. I might try Euro Truck Simulator, this time in VR, sometime later this week too. I want to try a couple other games too later this week. I don't know what. I also want to try and maybe do a quick reaction to some football on Sundays. I do know that the Colts play the Patriots in Germany next month in November. That'll be at around like 9 o'clock, which will be right around the time I would like to stream. So, hey, there we go. I can actually react to one of my team's games. I'll do that, see how that goes. Probably won't be anything super special, but might be a good TikTok out of it, maybe. I don't know. Trying to think what else. I don't think there's anything much else to talk about. Trying to remember. Honestly, that might be it. My brain just can't really function right now. I wonder why. Yeah, that's really 3 hours on this chatting stream. I am surprised I went this long. I didn't think I was, and then I kind of just got on major topics, and then this happened. I should start a podcast. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back probably tomorrow morning. Look out for my Twitter. If not, I'm more of a, sporadic streamer. So I like to not run a schedule because I can't run on a schedule. I suck at that. But who knows? I might try it sometime before the end of the year. I'll try to run on a schedule. I don't know yet. Yeah, I don't know how to end a stream. So bye.